We're already under 4 months away from the iPhone 18's releasing, so in this video I want to go over the latest leaks and rumors for the iPhone 18 Pro as well as the iPhone Fold. There's new color and material info, further confirmation about the big features Apple's been working on, and the iPhone Fold is sounding like the most advanced product Apple has ever released, which we'll get to a bit later in the video because the Fold is kind of its own thing. Where I want to start is with the iPhone 18 Pro, because Apple has a lot of big changes planned for this year, aside from the design, which is going to remain pretty similar. Sources have once again confirmed that the iPhone 18 Pro will be made out of an aluminum unibody, which is the same material that Apple uses on the 17 Pros, and it's no secret that it's way less durable than titanium. I mean, users all around the world have noticed how the new iPhones just don't hold up like the old ones, and apparently Apple is internally aware of this, and they're not changing anything this year. Unfortunately, Apple has no plans to upgrade the material on the 18 Pros, and the way they're gonna sell this is with some pretty cool new colors. A new leak has recently revealed all of the iPhone 18 Pro colors for 2026, with the headline option being a new dark cherry that I think a lot of people are going to like. I think it looks especially good in our renders, and I actually like the more subdued tones compared to the super bright cosmic orange, as from day one I was never really a fan of that color. Although most surprising to me is that Apple is bringing back black for the Pro iPhones after all. A lot of people thought it was weird how the 17 Pros just did not have black as a colorway. The closest you could get was that dark blue. Well, on the 18 Pros, Apple's making a comeback with dark gray, which essentially looks like a black color option for those of you that just want something neutral. Apple's also updating the blue this year to be a lot lighter, so it's more of a sky blue, similar to what we saw on the iPhone 13 Pro actually. And then of course the silver, the standard option, will be remaining, and Apple is going to blend the backs of these all better together so it's not that two-tone look and it's more unified. However, if you're looking for a bigger visual change, that's going to be on the front at the very top of the display. The bezels are actually staying the same size this year, but the dynamic island is shrinking by about 35%. We've seen yet another leak showing the iPhone 18 Pro CAD engineering design for this year, and right up at the top you can see just how much smaller the dynamic island is purported to get. To me, I think this makes the iPhone 18 Pro look a ton more modern, but the hardware leak part of this is only half the story, and I think the other half is in the software. Just like how when Apple unveiled the original dynamic island, there was an entirely new UI system built around it. I would bet that now 4 years later, they've been working on an updated version of this that looks a bit cleaner and maybe ties into liquid glass, as right now the dynamic island does not reflect any of the elements that were introduced with iOS 26. Or maybe the real story will just be better selfies, because the iPhone 18 Pro has also been rumored to have a 24 megapixel front-facing camera, which is a 6 megapixel increase over the 18 megapixels we have now. Apple could certainly justify shrinking the island to make a new bigger camera sensor work, so perhaps that will be part of the equation too. And cameras on the iPhone 18 Pro are going to be the main selling point, and they actually tie into an updated rumor about the thickness increase on the 18 Pros this year. Remember how we heard that the bodies of these devices were supposed to increase again at this time around just to accommodate a bigger battery? Well, according to updated info, that rumor was only half right, as the iPhone 18 Pros are getting thicker, but only in one area, and that's on the physical camera bump portion. Yes, according to a new rumor, Apple is making just the camera bump on the iPhone 18 Pro thicker to accommodate for all the advanced upgrades they are putting underneath, with the main one being a variable aperture lens, allowing you to manually control how much light enters in and touches the sensor. This will give you a much more pronounced depth of field, should greatly improve low light photos, and will also make video look more cinematic and less choppy. So it is going to be a noticeable change, especially if you're really into capturing media on your iPhone. But it's not just the main lens construction that Apple is making room for, it's also for a significantly larger camera sensor underneath. For the first time in iPhone history, Apple's moving away from a Sony sensor to something made by Samsung, which is going to give you a faster camera readout that makes shooting feel more responsive. And on top of that, the sensor is also bringing improved low light photos at the sensor level due to noise reduction and improved dynamic range capture for shadows and highlights. And listen, I've said it before, I will say it again, expect Apple to heavily market the cameras on the 18 Pros this year in a way they have not done before. This is going to be the central upgrade that they want you to upgrade for. And frankly, they're probably right, because this is going to be like a true pro level camera, I think, for the first time ever. Next, the iPhone 18 Pro will also continue to have about 6 meters of water resistance, and speaking of water water. That's why I partnered up with Lark, who sponsored today's video. This is the Lark PureVis 2, which is a water bottle that integrates with your iPhone. It actually keeps track of all the water you drink throughout the day, and you can natively view this information inside of Apple's Health app, which is the key feature here that I haven't seen on anything else. Not only is having this information super handy, but you can also see the app update in real time. As you have it connected to your iPhone, you take a sip of water, and the app will automatically tell you how much water you just consumed. It is really cool and really satisfying. On top of that, this bottle also features UV purification, which can eliminate bacteria and microorganisms that could be in your water and on the bottle itself, which ensures that you don't get that weird smell that a lot of other bottles get over time. You're even getting a water filter here too, reducing things like sediment and chlorine so that the water just tastes great. So if you're interested in checking out the Lark PureVis 2, I'll leave a link down below in the description and you can get one for yourself. A huge thank you to Lark for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. However, where Apple is adding even more to the cameras, they are taking away in the SIM tray department. Now in the United States and in a lot of markets around the world, the iPhone you buy every year is already eSIM only, meaning there is no physical SIM tray on the side and it is all electronic. In fact, on last year's iPhone 17 Pros, Apple even highlighted how the eSIM only iPhones have a physical larger battery, which was definitely a really nice upgrade, but also a clever way for Apple to continue to remove the SIM tray in other markets moving forward. And well, this year on the chopping block is China. It is a huge physical SIM market, and Apple is reversing a change they introduced in 2018. Starting with the iPhone XS series, Chinese iPhones were equipped with a dual physical SIM tray, the only phones in the world to do this, and it was because physical SIMs were a huge thing in China. But according to a new report, the iPhone 18 Pros will mark the beginning of the end, as Apple is downgrading it to just a single physical SIM with support for various eSIMs too. Now, the reason Apple is doing this, of course, is less parts means less things to break, and of course, they can offer larger batteries. Most importantly, eSIMs are also more secure, and Apple wants to roll that out to every iPhone globally over time. It's exactly why when the all-new iPhone Fold releases later this year, that will launch globally in all markets as an eSIM only product, because when it's unfolded, it's just too thin to fit a physical SIM inside. Or actually, maybe I should call Apple's first folding phone the iPhone Ultra, as a new report says that Apple is planning to give the iPhone Fold the Ultra branding, just like they have done with the Apple Watch Ultra. I guess from Apple's point of view, iPhone Fold just sounded kind of basic, and they really want this product to launch with its own distinct identity as the highest end iPhone you can buy, and it has been described as a true engineering marvel. Of course, there's the big stuff we've already known about, like the wide fold 4:3 aspect ratio, giving it similar functionality to an iPad, or even the breakthrough display that does not have a visible crease. It's something that Apple has solved that no one else has. It's also been rumored to have a massive battery, the biggest in any iPhone, giving this potentially 2-day battery life for the very first time. Though, according to one rumor, the real breakthrough on the iPhone Ultra is said to be the internal construction and how different it is compared to other foldables. Apparently, the iPhone Fold on day one will become the most durable and repairable foldable that has ever been made by any company, and that Apple is employing this really breakthrough modular design of components where everything is super nicely organized, similar to what you can see on the inside of an iPhone Air. Essentially, Apple wants to prove that their folding phone can be just as good as a regular phone in every way. That's why they've solved the display, that's why they're making the battery life insane, and that's why they also want this to be durable. It'll hold up for thousands and thousands of bends without breaking. At the same time, they also want it to be serviceable in an era where most foldables look like this on the inside. Apple is solving that so it will be accessible and repairable, which I do think is really cool. Still, the iPhone Fold will by no means be a perfect product, and on the back here, there's only 2 physical cameras, which will be a huge downgrade from any other foldable out there, and there's also going to be a camera control button on the side below the power button, just like Apple has on their other products. And the reason I mention camera control is that apparently Apple sees this as a key success component of the iPhone Ultra, and they have made compromises around other pieces just to make sure camera control is here. Because the Fold has a wide and short form factor and users will have to use it while it's closed up, Apple's been considering one-handed use, and they see the camera control button as essential for easy access to capturing media, which makes sense to an extent, but if Apple had a conversation of more battery life or including a camera control button, I mean, I use it every once in a while on the side of my iPhone. It was cool in concept, but I still don't really really get the grand vision here. Personally, I just find it weird that Apple cares so much about adding camera control on the Fold, but they're actively downgrading the camera control button on the iPhone 18 Pro this year. This second-gen camera control button is said to completely remove the swipe and touch sensitivity, only leaving the button with pressure and click left. So it's a pretty big downgrade. Not that I've ever used the swipe on the button in general, but it will be a strange pitch, especially on such a big camera year, to say the camera button is objectively getting worse, and I'm curious to see how Apple pitches that. That being said, when it comes to the iPhone Fold, I think there's one aspect people care about more than anything else, and that is the price tag. A new source has come in to share even more money details, and once again, it's not pretty. I think this is the third time now that we've heard the iPhone Fold will start around $19.99 USD, with the top spec, probably 2TB model, topping out at $26.99, which I find to be an insane amount of money for what at the end of the day is just gonna be an iPhone that folds in half. And that's how I've been honestly feeling after following the iPhone Fold for more than a year now. Is the foldable going to look super cool and futuristic with some cool exclusive software features that allow you to do more multitasking? Yes, absolutely. But nothing I've seen about the iPhone Fold makes it more practical than a regular iPhone. I think it's going to be technically insane. I think it's going to be cool to look at. But my prediction for the iPhone Fold is similar to the Vision Pro. I think it's going to be all anybody talks about for about a month, and then later everybody's just back with their 18 Pros. I guess we'll see. And I'm fascinated to see this. I'm looking forward to it. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to give it a fair shot, but man, am I skeptical. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like down below, hit subscribe for more videos on the iPhone, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.